Hello, friends. The 1008 days of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. The Russians have advanced in the eastern part of Kurakovi and entered the city center, according to the deep state map. They are also advancing south of the city, near Dalny and Maximivka. Adar fighter Bunyatov writes that the front in the Kurakovi direction is crumbling because there are not enough people and weapons. According to him, there are not enough people, even for the statutory deployment at platoon strongholds, not to mention the large number of Russians storming the city. There are not enough FPV crews, aerial reconnaissance, there are not enough drones, there are not enough shells for artillery, there is not enough motivation for the fighters, there are not enough normal commanders, there is not enough death penalty for corrupt officials, writes Bunyatov. Meanwhile, there is also positive news. According to Ukrainian and Russian military telegram channels, the Ukrainian armed forces have driven Russian units out of the eastern neighborhoods of Kupiansk. Let me remind you that the Russian landing force suddenly entered the city 2 weeks ago. And last week, the Ukrainian authorities claimed that they had driven him out of the city. However, the military telegram channel Deep State reports that the fighting there has only just ended. This is confirmed by Russian telegram channels. They write that the Russians managed to enter the northeastern outskirts of the city due to confusion during the rotation of the Ukrainian armed forces, but the Russian army has not yet managed to gain a foothold there. At the same time, the Russians are expanding their bridgehead on the western bank of the Oskil River north of Kupiansk. According to the Deep State map, the zone of Russian control and the gray section of the fighting have expanded, and the enemy has already entered the southern outskirts of Novomlinsk. Despite the retreat from the outskirts of Kupiansk, the Russian army has complete initiative in the Kharkiv region, says Larin, editor-in-chief of the local publication Dumka. In his opinion, 3 facts testify to this. Firstly, the capture of the village of Satmitsky Kozachak by the Russians. Secondly, the recent entry of a Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group into the Hoptivka area in the direction of Kazacha-Lopan. Local authorities claim that the sabotage and reconnaissance group was partially destroyed and partially returned to the Belgorod region. Thirdly, the transition to the western bank of the Oskil. According to Larin, this means that hopes that the Russian army will limit itself to the eastern bank are unfounded. In the Kupiansk direction, according to the journalist, fighting is already underway near Novosinovi, which means a partial or complete loss of Glushkivka by Ukraine. He also reported that the ring around Kupiansk itself is tightening. Thus, the Russians have already approached Petropavlovka, which covers the western part of the city. At the same time, Deep State has not yet confirmed the approach to Petropavlovka. Overall, Russia's advance last week was a record for 2024. The enemy managed to capture 235 square kilometers, Reuters reports, citing Deep State data. In less than November, the Russians have already captured 600 square kilometers. According to other sources, even more, about 667 square kilometers. If we return to the problems with weapons, which the Ukrainian armed forces soldier mentioned above, there is a shortage of mines of all types. This is evidenced by 2 facts. The first is the recent decision of the United States to provide Ukraine with anti-personnel mines prohibited by conventions, and also the scandal with mortar mines of Ukrainian manufacture. The day before, military personnel from different parts of the front told journalists that they were given ammunition produced by Ukroboronprom, which do not explode after firing, get stuck in the barrel of the mortar, or simply fall next to it. Moreover, a huge number of such mines were delivered to the troops, at least 100,000, according to journalists. The first such complaints began to arrive in early November. A public scandal erupted, which was commented on today by the Ministry of Defense. They said that they have been conducting a closed investigation for 3 weeks into the abnormal wear of these mines, and their deliveries have been stopped. They will be replaced by imported mines. Preliminary results of the investigation indicate poor quality powder charges or violation of ammunition storage conditions, which led to their damage. Yesterday, Russia set another record for the number of shots launched over Ukraine: 188, of which 76 were shot down. And overall, the incomplete November has already surpassed the previous record-breaking October in the number of these drones. In November, if you put together the data of the Air Force, Ukraine was attacked by more than 2,100 heavy kamikaze drones. In October, there were 2,023. On average, in incomplete November, Ukraine was attacked by 84 shots per day. In October, 65 units per day. Before that, there were 44 in September and 25 in August, according to MP Zhelezniak. Thus, Moscow is expanding the production of these drones despite the sanctions, as well as the strikes of Ukrainian drones on the factories where the Shad is assembled. According to the Ukrainian military, these drones play a key role in exhausting the Ukrainian air defense. And the increase in the scale of the raids suggests that the Russians are trying to overload the mobile groups that shoot down drones, forcing Kyiv to spend scarce and expensive missiles on these drones. At the same time, there is direct damage from the Shad. Judging by the official statements of the armed forces of Ukraine, not all drones are shot down or suppressed by electronic warfare systems. For example, according to yesterday's statistics, out of 188 Shad, 76 were shot down and 96 location lost, meaning that they fell without causing damage. Thus, at least 17 drones hit the target. Of those incursions that became known yesterday, the drones attacked the Ternopil region, where they hit the energy sector. After which Ternopil was left without electricity and water for a long time, and the mayor of the city called the electricity situation the worst during the war. Meanwhile, the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has quietly removed the possibility of confiscating property from corrupt officials, who, under the new law, can avoid prison by concluding a plea bargain with the investigation. According to the head of the Anti-Corruption Committee, Yevhenii, on November 20, a law was adopted on the deprivation of state awards for popularizing or promoting the aggressor state. It also amended Article 77 of the Criminal Code, which removed confiscation as a possible punishment for such corrupt officials. Yevhenii says that these changes occurred unexpectedly, and she will prepare a bill to correct the situation. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.